Hi, my name is Maria Chavez, and this is my third grade science lesson plan. The standards that I chose for this lesson are CA3-PS 2.1, which is motion and stability, forces and interaction. Plan and conduct an investigation to provide evidence of the effects of balance and unbalanced forces on the motion of an object. The ELA standard that I chose for this lesson as well is CASL.3.4. Report on a topic or text. Tell a story or recount an experience with appropriate facts and relevant descriptive details, speaking clearly at an understandable pace. Plan and deliver an informative explanatory presentation on a topic that organizes ideas around major points of information, follows a logical sequence, includes supporting details, uses clear and specific vocabulary, and provides a strong conclusion. So the objective of this lesson would be students will be able to recognize and identify balanced and unbalanced forces. Students will also be able to recount one of the activities performed and give a detailed narrative on each step of the activity. So to get the students warmed up to the vocab and just giving them a general understanding, we begin the lesson with showing them pictures such as this of like a seesaw and explaining how for it to go up and down, the forces need to be unbalanced so that it could move. And that just warms them up to the idea of if there's motion, the forces are unbalanced. So they start grasping the concept of balance and unbalanced. And then we could show them pictures of two people pushing against a block and showing how the block is not moving and how when the forces are equal, there is no movement. And then we could also show them pictures on, again, like the same example of equal force being applied on both sides. And this one later will be an actual activity that they'll perform. So the first experiment would be setting up some sort of a seesaw. You can use any type of materials, wooden blocks, cylinders, just something to make a makeshift seesaw. You can do this just as a whole class or have them do it in small groups. But basically just create a seesaw and then put one block on each side and demonstrate how it's balanced. And then you could try adding more blocks to one side and letting the kids figure out what that is actually called. Like, what does it mean when one side is lower than the other? What does it mean when both sides are leveled? And it'll just help them to get really familiar with the terms. Um, another another activity that they could do would be to take them outside to do a tug of war. This could be a little bit challenging because you want to make sure you have the weight and the strength evenly distributed in the amount of students. But you could just have them do it in sets too, so like not everybody all at once, but just have them demonstrate very carefully tug of war and show them how when the amount of students is changed on one side, that it creates movement, and when each side has the same amount of students, then there is not much movement or no movement at all. This will help them to have a reference when they're doing assignments later on that involve balance and unbalanced forces. There's a lot of other examples you can give them with like manipulatives, like just giving them different manipulatives to show them like the forces acting on each other. Like if two people are pushing a box on one side and one person's pushing a box on the other side, then that's not a balanced force, and an unbalanced force creates motion. After this, you can just have the students come up with their own examples of balanced and unbalanced forces, and this they can write down their ideas and they can include it in their narratives that they tell later on when they share with the class. I also have some worksheets that can be either done during class time to get a better understanding if the students are still a little bit lost, or can be assigned as homework. So for this one, it's just again, balance and unbalanced forces and identifying the difference, how one hand is pushing it. So again, it gives them another example of how to visualize it in real life and not just read it from a book and view it as like definitions, but giving it actual real life examples. And then another worksheet that I have is again on balance and unbalanced forces. So this is like the what they had earlier, which was to come up with their own ideas in their narrative. Now here they can draw it out if they don't exactly have all the supplies they would need to actually conduct the activity. They can just draw it out on here. I also have 15 vocabulary terms, flashcards, or cards for a word wall. Just some basic terms: force, motion, balance, unbalanced, opposite, equal. Just some like common, like interchangeable terms that can have the same meaning but like can be phrased differently throughout the lesson. And here we have more: movement, investigate, stability, the difference between a push and pull and what they do and how they're similar as well. I have 10 task cards, which just consist of questions. So some of the questions would be, what makes a force unbalanced? Give one example from your life where forces are acting on each other. So this will help to really open their eyes to the fact that force acts on objects everywhere and in everything. So it'll really make them start looking and thinking about things around them and how force really plays a role in it. And then just other simple things like draw an example of a balanced force, draw an example of an unbalanced force, things like that. And the way that the children can draw on their funds of knowledge would be, like I said, relating it to real life situations. So like in the worksheet, when they're pushing the book with one hand and then pushing the book with two hands, that's like a real life example that they can see, like even just sitting at their own desk. So yeah, they can relate their funds of knowledge also to the tug of war. I don't know if most kids have played that, but I feel like they've most likely seen it somewhere. So they can always have that reference to if they need to have more clarification later on. That's pretty much it for the lesson. It would just be more class discussion, maybe on identifying unbalanced and balanced forces. There's plenty of like manipulatives that you could use to demonstrate this. It would really just be whatever works best for your students. This concludes my lesson plan for science. Thank you.